So I'm doing laundry and I'm thinking I need to go get my phone because I always have these random thoughts and I should never go anywhere without my phone. Like I pretty much have realized that like I need to have my phone with me at all times because I'm always having these thoughts that can become a talk show or go into one of my radio shows or one of my segments or whatever. And I was just thinking, you know, I was thinking about several things. So the first thing I was saying to, I talk to myself a lot because my mind is always going. So to work things out when no one else is around, I'm usually just going to talk to myself until it makes sense, if anyone understands that. But yeah, so basically, let's see here. Okay, well, we're just going to pick something. But yeah, so the first thing I was thinking was, and I have to write these things down because my it's really great that the Black Lives Matter, National Black United Front. Like I was thinking about these two things, and I was thinking these are just two of many, many groups that exist today, Black groups that are fighting for our freedom. And I think it's incredible because I was sitting here thinking I'm probably on the FBI list at this point, and I don't think it's because I'm this big leader or I've done anything significantly special compared to so many other people out there. But I think it's because they probably just grabbed the list of members of who are part of organizations. And because I am a member of Black United Front, National Black United Front, I'm probably on the list because of that. And, the crazy thing is I don't really think about it. I've been aware of it a few times, or I hear people talk about the list, the FBI list, or COINTELPRO, and I may think briefly I might be on that list, every now and then, but I don't sit around losing sleep over it. I don't think about it. I'm not afraid or anything. I just be thinking I might be on the list and whatever, and my day keeps going because this is something that what we're doing right now has to be done. Like it has to be done. There's no going back. There's no, and I've noticed this with a lot of people, like people who their friends may not agree with what they're doing. So they're trying to, you can tell they're kind of having that inner battle of how far do I go with this? Do I keep posting things and this is powerful. Social media is a very, very powerful tool and it's free. So it's like, let's use it to our advantage. But I can see people really struggling with wanting to fight this fight in any way, shape, or form. I really believe anything you do helps. And they want to fight this fight in any way, shape, or form. But they have like white friends or, white family members or whatever. And they don't want to hurt people's feelings. But my thing is, like I told, I had this one brother on my friends list. I'm gonna try not to name names. I'm gonna try to be good and because I don't really care. But I'm not gonna name this to help, because he's struggling with this, I can tell. But I just had to go in on his so-called quote unquote white friends who basically is telling him they're calling him a racist because he's posting posts about Black people's struggle. And I'm like, you really need to reevaluate your friends. If these are people that see what's going on and they're trying to make you feel bad about it, their asses need to go. Because we're in 2016. This movement has been happening now since Trayvon Martin. We were sleeping and we just woke the fuck up. And it's like people are trying to get us to go back to sleep or they're trying to get us to shut up. And those are the people you don't need to be friends with for sure. And so, so people are struggling, but I say, I go all out. Like I knew I was going to lose friends. I knew I was going to lose whatever. I didn't care because I feel like I'm fighting for what's right. I always have. I always will. And at this very moment with this racist ass country, I just happen to be fighting for Black people and I happen to be Black. So of course I grew up just like a lot of black people in this predominantly white country where I was surrounded by whites. I didn't ask to be in that environment. My parents put me in that environment. I was a child and I had to live where they told me to live. So I was living in a predominantly white area and I had friends who were not black. I really didn't have like white friends though. I had, my closest friends were always black. Then I had a Puerto Rican friend in the group which many would argue she's black also. And I had a friend who was Asian and white. So I either bonded more with minorities or black people. Because I grew up in Alabama. I'm born in Alabama, grew up for 3 years. I was in Alabama 3 years of my younger childhood. And that's what really shaped me and molded me for the rest of my life was things I went through as a child. So it's like even when I moved, because my parents were in the military, and I moved to Virginia, I had already seen and heard and felt the racism in America. I had already gone through, different levels of racism. I was just around a lot of black people in Alabama. We really didn't mix with whites. I heard like things that white people would do if they saw a black man walking out, she was a white woman, they would beat his ass, go just jump him and beat him up. And, just from the environment, I could tell even at 4 years old that we were not supposed to really be friends. Like we weren't supposed to like white people because white people didn't like us. It wasn't, we don't like white people because we don't want to like them. It was because they don't like me, so I don't like them. And I mean, it's not even just, they don't like, they hate black people. Like, if you could see what's going on now that Donald Trump, he's not even in the White House yet. It's like they couldn't wait. These white racists could not wait to show how hateful they are. Like, that belly of that beast was just breathing silently underneath all the fake post-racial kumbaya moments of America. They were just breathing on it like they could not wait to fucking rise up. And they're rising up, but too little too late because we've already risen. So, so that was my one thought, was just thinking about all the black organizations out there and just realizing like how incredible it is, because this is not your grandparents' movement. This is not your great-grandparents' movement. And that's not to take away from how incredible Marcus Garvey movement was, and how incredible Malcolm X, Martin Luther King Jr., like they moved like bodies of people, Elijah Muhammad and and Minister Louis Farrakhan, just all of them, like their movement was powerful. But the thing they messed up that we get to learn from this mistake, this is pretty much like our third rise. And 3 times it's going to be the charm. But we learn from our ancestors that you don't have just one leader. You spread it around. You train others. And I think that's why the Nation of Islam has lasted so long, because they train so many other black leaders. So when one of them passes, like Elijah Muhammad has passed away, Minister Louis Farrakhan has been trained under him. He continues their movement. He continues their ideologies, like what they believe in, their system that they have in place, their systems that they have in place, their rules and regulations, like their codes of conduct. Like it continues from legacy to legacy, to generation to generation. It continues. And Minister Louis Farrakhan, every time I see him speak, he brings up young black men and women who's training under him, who's studying him, who's going to take the fucking reins if anything were to ever happen to him. And he's not stupid. He keeps bodyguards around him. I don't blame him. Like, if you have a message and you are important where you have to live long enough to convey that message, then hell yeah, people need to protect you until God calls you. Your job is done, but you need to do what you need to do to stay safe and live long enough to get that message out. And I think I'm like Malcolm X. I feel like I'm Malcolm X reincarnated. I read his autobiography and I really just resonate like with so much stuff that he said. I could relate it to it. It's things I would have said. It's things I would say today, like out my mouth. He thinks like me. And I feel like I truly understand him. And he's loyal. He was loyal to his family. Just an incredible man. And near the end, when he feared he would die, be murdered, I really related to this. Like, it wasn't the fear of death itself. Because people like him and I, we're very loyal to what we care about, whether it's a cause or the people or a movement or family members or friends. Like, when we say we love you and we care about you, that loyalty stands, whether we like you all the time or not. It's about commitment. It's about loyalty. Making that commitment, being loyal to someone is loving them and like protecting them, having their back, whether you like them in that moment or not. You're not going to be like, well, I don't like this person right now, I'm going to destroy them. It doesn't work that way. Like, you don't just turn off and on the loyalty. You don't break your commitment, because then it wouldn't be a commitment. So you keep it at all costs. So with Malcolm X, he was just this committed man. He's an amazing man. But near the end, I really felt this turmoil within him. I felt it as well, because I feel a lot of what my ancestors have gone through, I carry it. We all carry it in our DNA. And I can feel their pain sometimes. And it brings me to my knees. Like, it feels like I can feel it. Like, if I go past the projects or a cemetery, like where, I don't know, like where they've suffered, I can like feel it. And so I could feel Malcolm X's pain just from reading the book. It's the energy, the vibes. I just feel it. I don't know how to explain it. I just always have been like, I used to call it my sixth sense, where I can basically step into when people say step into my shoes, I literally can like put myself into your shoes, place my soul into your body and feel your pain. And so Malcolm X, near the end, was worried he was going to be murdered, but I could feel that he wasn't afraid to die because he was afraid of death, because we will die for this. Like, people like Malcolm X and I will die for the cause. Like, we'll be murdered. Like, I don't care. If I have to give a speech and it's necessary and I'm being called by God and my people to do this, I will do it. I don't care if I'm a target. I don't care if I think I'm going to be murdered. I'm giving the speech, and it is what it is. God will call me home or do what he may. And the reality is, Black people don't die. My soul will just go into another Black person and reincarnate itself. And so the mission will continue. But yeah, so because all of this has been prophecy, I keep telling people that. No one listens. I study the Bible and a lot of books by Black authors, because I don't really believe in learning from my enemy. You can study your enemy, but I'm not going to learn from you. It's like I might notice some things or pick up some things that you've done, but I don't think I want to do anything like my enemy. I don't want to do things out of hatred and be undermining and just a hateful person. Like, I don't want to do it that way. So that's not me. That's not Black people. That's just not who we are. So, so I felt that he was more afraid Malcolm X was more afraid he wasn't going to be around long enough to continue to give the message that was necessary. And he didn't seem to really have trained anyone to continue his fight. Like Marcus Garvey, 3 years before he died, he started a training program to train people of his vision, his message, his ideologies, his philosophies, because we all die at some point. Let's get real here. Like, we're all going to die at some point. And that's actually why I love social media. I just made a post today because I realized from something Dr. Boyce Watkins said was that my legacy is on social media. Like, my children, my loved ones, my followers, people who are learning under me and looking up to me and seeing me as a role model and studying under me without me even knowing it, is happening through social media. We can now reach so many people for free. So when I put videos on YouTube or I make posts on Facebook, you can back all of that up and put in your will, or there's a place on the Facebook where you can make a statement of what you want to be done with your intellectual property, like what you want to be done with your account and all that once you pass away. And in there, it's like a novel of knowledge, it's like all my posts, my children, it's like my diary of my thoughts. Like my children can read that and see to that day what my mother was doing, what she was thinking, where her mind was, what was happening on that calendar at that time. Why was my mom thinking this? Oh, Donald Trump had just gotten elected. Things were getting, the belly of the beast was opening. It was getting crazy. My mom was posting this. They can put those things together and they can continue the truth of my teachings to them, even when I'm long gone, and to my grandchildren, my great grandchildren, and so on and so forth. So I do think it's important for you to download your Facebook messages and hold on to them. And I think it will download your photos as well, like photos you posted on your timeline, things like that. I did download it so far, so even if I don't download it today, if something happens to me, my children get the gist, and I talk to them every single day. So I'm training my children. But the beauty of it is nowadays we're training so many more than that, because our messages are reaching so much more. So people are going to find our messages out there, and they're going to continue that fight. And there's so many of us now. It's not, you can't pinpoint who a leader was. Back then you can go after Fred Hampton, you can go after Malcolm X, you can go after Martin Luther King Jr., and the movement would die with them. But that's not going to happen. We've learned from our mistakes, and we are growing, and it hasn't even been 100 years since Malcolm X was murdered, or since that movement even happened. So it hasn't even been a full generation, and we've already taken notes. We've grown up into adults. The children who didn't even learn about Malcolm X as children, because our generation, our parents' generation, was kind of asleep. They were knocked the fuck out. So for I would say for about 20, 30 years, nothing happened. Things were white. I think white people believe that we were kind of forgetting, and they have been successful in not helping us to remember what our ancestors had gone through and what they had done to us and what they're still doing to us. They thought we weren't going to remember the past, so we weren't going to understand our future. We weren't going to understand the present or the future. And this segues into my next thought that I was just having when I was getting my laundry together, was I cannot believe the arrogance and the cockiness of white people, that they really thought they would free us to fight their battles and then still treat us like shit and expect us to never rise up. And even as, you could say life got quote unquote better for black people, which it really not for all of us, because then they have mass incarceration, I find out. So even though I grew up in suburbs, I'm finding out there's millions of black people. Like, we are overwhelmingly represented in the prison system, just high, in really high numbers. And we're being, not only we're being in prison, but just the murders, the death, it's just the deaths. Like, whether it's gang members or police killing us and getting all away with it, or the George Zimmermans of the world, or it's genocide. And it's coming in different forms, like whether it's, Planned Parenthood on every corner so we can abort our babies, or liquor stores so we can drink ourselves to death, or drugs with the drug dealer that's given to them by the cops so that we can have overdoses. It's the constant fight to live and fight for humanity, just to be treated like a human and to have humane rights, like the same rights of every other person, just in America. We're not even going to talk about the rest of the world yet. And I can't believe they had the audacity to think they were going to get away with it, to think they were going to free us, and we weren't going to remember our ancestors or feel our ancestors walking with us, being within us, and feel it necessary to avenge what happened to them. I'm like, are you guys crazy? Like, I don't understand other races. I do to some degree, but I don't get, they're not like black people. Like, our love and our loyalty is on another level. So it can be generations and generations and centuries later. You are not going to disconnect us from who we are. You will never, ever, because you tried time and time again. When our ancestors die, I don't think they realize this. Like, white people don't have souls. I'm not saying this to be mean. This is from my studies. People have said it time and time again. I put two and two together. It makes sense. But when black people die, as I stated earlier, our souls go into another black person. Like, I believe it's a black baby. So the new black baby that's born is reincarnated into their ancestor who passed away previously. And I don't know necessarily, because I haven't gotten that far yet, if it's like it has to be a family member, but I don't think it does. Like how I feel like I have the Nat Turner spirit in me and Malcolm X. And to my knowledge, but to some degree, we're all related regardless, because we only had, that one father and then I think it was several mothers. Because of polygamy, based on the Bible, our father is Abraham and Sarah, and then we have Shem, I think, who was Abraham's father. So it all started with God creating our parents, our great parents, and so we all basically come from like the same two, 3, 4 people, and it connects us. But yes, our souls go into the next person, and that's deep when you think about it. Like, it's not even just about I'm thinking that I feel connected to this person because I know it's my grandmother or my great grandfather or whatever. It's more like this person's inside of me. I'm carrying all of their souls within me. They are in my DNA. They walk with me. They live with me. They're in me. They're in my dreams. They are, they're my everything. And even when I didn't know it, they were leading me. And for white people and our enemies to think that we weren't going to avenge their deaths and the mistreatment and the inhumane treatment, they must be crazy. And that's what they're seeing now. Like, they think they're angry. You don't know anger. You don't understand. I don't really believe they understand the level of anger. That they think that they were this silent beast. Like, they weren't. We knew they were there at all times because we were living in the white supremacist, racist ass system every fucking day. So we knew it was underlying. Like, the people especially who are consciously aware and very awake and woke, they know that white supremacy is there underneath it all. Pulling the strings, running this racist country, running this world. So them thinking they're rising up and writing stuff on walls and, calling us the N-word, throwing rocks at us because Trump is president. It's like, all I see are a bunch of cowards. All I see are a bunch of racist pricks who didn't have the courage or the bravery to be outright racist, like believe what their hatefulness, like be outright hateful until they had a leader who allowed that. And I believe, they're cowards. Like, they don't usually do things alone, or they'll do them, but it's like under some cloak and veil. Either they're wearing their white hoods, their white outfits to hide who they are because they're always hiding, or they'll do stuff in the night and run away, like spray paint a swastika. Who gives a shit about your swastikas on like a church building or whatever? It's like, okay, we're not tied to these physical things. Like, when you're conscious and you're rising above the world and you are in the world but you're not of it, you're not tied to the physical attributes of the world. So when people think that they're harming you by vandalizing your buildings, you're tied to the fucking buildings. You white people are tied to, you're capitalistic. You're tied to the money. You're tied to buildings. You're tied to stuff. Black people are a spiritual people. And once we remember who we are and we come back, or we are living in our truth, that shit doesn't affect us. All we care about is God and each other. Like, we don't even really have a hatred for white folks, to be honest. Like, we're angry. Don't get me wrong, because I'm a pissed I'm pissed. I'm pissed. I'm livid at the bullshit that's happening right now. Like, I'm livid if you harm my children or my nephews and nieces or my, any black child or any black person. I want to kill people. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, I'm fucking ass mad. I'm so angry. But does that mean that I hate any races? I don't really care about you guys enough to hate you. I don't think about you enough to hate you. So when people don't understand people like me, who's an activist or a black revolutionary or a conscious person who is elevating myself to the highest level, like the highest chakra, and I've always had a very deep, deep, deep relationship with God, I don't think about non-black people. I think about my people and uniting my people and what to do to protect my people and push them forward and lead them in the right direction. I don't think about much else. I mean, I don't. Like, I've this weekend alone, I put on an event with my brother to educate my people on the mass incarceration and the amendment and how the government is not for you. American government is not for you. Stop thinking you were feeling sad because you thought Hillary Clinton was going to save you. Ain't no white person, no white Jesus, no white Hillary Clinton. They're not going to save you. I know you're brainwashed because all the movies you watch, you get this white teacher or someone being the white savior. No one white is going to save you. There's going to be a black person. The person's going to be black. So I put on that event. And then the next day, I can't remember. I had something. Saturday, I had a meeting with National Black United Front, with a community meeting. It went very well. And then Sunday, I had a conference call with National Black United Front. So it's like, all I do is live for my people. That's it. I'm humble. I'm passionate. I'm modest. I don't want credit. I don't need the credit. I need you to be recognizing it of what I'm teaching you or what's happening around you, like what I'm posting or what I'm saying. I don't need your fucking awards. I don't need you to give me pats on the back. I need you to acknowledge what I'm doing because it's so pertinent. It's so important. I feel good when people come to me and say, when I see things change, because I know I had a part in it. They may not say I had a part in it, but I know I did. And that's validation enough for me because I'm here to change the world. Point blank. I've always knew I was kind of not an ordinary person. I always knew I was going to be extraordinary. And it took me a long time to take on the responsibility because I am an introvert. I do not like attention. I still don't like attention. I could be probably sitting in a room knowing I've accomplished more than everyone sitting there, and you wouldn't really know the difference. Like, I would just be sitting there like I'm just a regular person, and because people can't see through me, they just see see me at face. They just take me at face value, what they're seeing at me. They can't go past that because they're really not, their mind's not open enough. So they think, oh, we're not going to be respectful. We can't recognize what she has done for the people or who she even is. And I don't mind that so much. It's more, I think what bothers me the most is that you're not picking, because you don't know who I am, you're not picking up the message that you need to pick up. You're not giving me the respect, and that's going to harm you, because you're not going to be ready to get the message and learn and save yourselves from what is going on around you. So, I don't know. So those are my thoughts. I talked to myself and just think of the craziest things. Something else I've noticed, really, really random right now, but I've always been ahead of like trends. And I've kind of noticed that the black nerd thing is kind of becoming quite trendy. Like, it's going to be like the next thing. Like, being black and smart is cool. So, I don't know. Just throwing it out there. I just realized it. I was reading some blogs, and I see Blavity, and I don't know, I kind of put it all together. Like, and that's a good thing. Because, because we're in the technology age, and we're in the information age of Google and the internet, and just information being literally at your fingertips because it's in your smartphone. I think it's amazing that we are almost like ahead of the game this time. Like, we are riding that wave. And what's so beautiful, just so interesting to me, is knowing that our ancestors created the math and the sciences and the technologies and the universe and everything around us. So it's like full circle. It's like how we began is how we're going to end. Right? Like the person who created the internet was a black man. And let's be honest. I mean, majority of the inventions we have are created by black people, where it was the automobile or whatever, or the machines used to help with the cotton industry. We created those things. I actually learned that in school, surprisingly, that the black man created like the first cotton manufacturing machine. But we created those things because deep down within us, we still have that ancestral knowledge. We're still I don't want to say African, but we're still Hebrew Israelites. We still carrying so much within us. And I don't want to say Hebrew Israelites only either. We're still black. We're still of ether. We're still God. God is within us, and I can feel it. It feels amazing. It feels amazing. So, I love you guys. So, I'm going to go. I will talk to you guys again soon. Until I speak to you again, I always love to end and remind you to take care of yourselves. When I say take care of yourselves, I mean it. Love yourself. Work out. Eat right. Stick together. Protect yourselves. So that's what I mean when I say take care of yourselves and each other. If you see someone trying to jump on a black person on social media or in person or wherever, be their keeper. Protect them. Help defend them. Okay? Like, don't leave them alone. We're not those people. We are meant to be together. We come from African villages. We are tribes. We have that mindset. We don't do stuff alone. We are people. We love people. We're social. People love us, and some of that love has turned into jealousy because they know who we are and the powers we possess and our destiny, and they're jealous and angry about it. But that's not for you to worry about. That's not for you to care. It's not part of your story. Your story is to be true to you. No matter how much people don't like it. Who gives a fuck? Like the reality is, God didn't put you on this earth to please other people. He gave you a purpose. He gave you a mission. Get it done. Like don't be worried about who's going to be worried. Like the only person, the only being, supreme being that I fear, the only person I fear is God. No mortal man, no one who can be killed will ever put more fear in me than God. So, like, I know it hurts when people, if they leave you, they walk away because you're living in your truth, you're studying, and you're finding out who you are as a being. But that's their problem. And actually it's their loss, to be honest. Like they need to stay near you, if anything, because they need to learn from you. They need to suck in that energy, that vibe, that knowledge, like all of that energy that you exude. And if people block you or leave or whatever, they're going to regret it. They're going to regret it before you will. Because they, deep down in their hearts, they know you are a good person. They know what you're doing is a good thing. And because they are so worried about man more than God and following God, as much as they follow idols, false idols, they are more worried about what people think about them. So they're trying to still be what man wants them to be, what mortals want them to be. But they know deep down they're wrong, and they know deep down that you're right, and you're doing the righteous thing, and that's all that matters. And I'm on the fence with this when I think about, do I want to keep that door kind of open for people who I know are going to need to come back in? Because I've blocked people on Facebook. I block bad energy. Like, if your bad energy is just stopping me from doing what I need to do in this universe, like, you got to go. Like, you're not going to be in my way. I'm like a train. You cannot stop me. I'm going to keep going. And I tell people that, like, when I get an idea in my head I become obsessed. Everybody knows that. Anyone who knows me knows I am like that. Like, I become obsessed with the idea. And I set a goal in my mind. I don't even write stuff down. I just set it in my mind, put it to the universe, and think of it all the time until it's accomplished. So that's just how I do things. Like, it's not saying you got to do it this way. Everyone's different. Please be your truth. Be who you are. But keep meditating. Keep talking to God. Keep talking to your ancestors so they can lead you to know who's good, who's not, who's still probably lost. They're not bad or good. They just confused as all crap. Who needs to be in your circle? Who needs to go? When do you need to have your guard up? When do you have to kind of keep an eye on things and observe? Be a little bit more observant. But keep an open mind, just keep an open mind. People can change. They can be having negative, bad motives, and then end up seeing how you work and how you move and what you stand for. And then they become a good person. They start to see how genuine you are, and they gravitate towards you. So don't give up on your Black brothers and sisters ever. It's my Black Code of Conduct number 113. But yeah, don't ever give up on your black brothers and sisters ever. They love you. We love you. You love us. Just move with black people in love. Move in love with them. Move through love. Move with love. Just keep loving them. It's like a parent and a child. Never ever, never give up on them. Sometimes you're going to give them that tough love. Sometimes you're going to have to not speak to them to portray your anger so that they can get the message. Sometimes you're going to give them a hug. Sometimes you're going to just open your mind more and listen and let them be who they need to be, even when it makes you uncomfortable or you see them going, you feel they're going in the wrong direction. But never, don't let them go. Don't stop loving them because of these things. Like, just be patient. Be patient. Sometimes I just step away from things and I just feel, let me give it some time to simmer down. Like, let me give it some time to marinate. Let's give this relationship some marinating. Like, let it marinate a bit until we can become a piece of chicken with some Italian dressing and soak it all in. And now it's this delicious cuisine. So, don't jam us together. Give us some time to kind of feel each other. And it takes a while. Sometimes, like, for me personally, I feel like it takes me years before I really can trust somebody. Like, when I really can say, this is someone who's good. And I study you for years. I'm studying, like, when I determine someone is a good person, I have studied you. I have observed you. And it may take 2 days. It may take 10 months. It may take 3 years. But I am watching you the entire time, your actions, your beliefs, what you say, what you don't say. And I make a determination based on these things. And I may not say it. I may not act like a certain way so that you know what I'm thinking, but I'm watching you. So deep in your heart, if you feel that you are an ugly person, you really are a mean person, but you're smiling in my face, I know the truth. If you are a really good person and you're having a tough time, I know the truth. I know when things are a little off, but deep down you're good. So, okay. So I love you guys. Until I talk to you again, take care of yourselves and each other. Peace, love, and light.